Hi, everybody. Welcome to This One's Dedicated To. My name's Chris Barton.
And I'm Jennifer Ziegler, and we both write books for young people. And we love talking with other creators of books for young people, particularly about the dedications in their books.
That's what This One's Dedicated To is all about. Today, we are joined by our friends, Tom Angleberger and Cece to talk about the dedication they wrote for their book, Inspector Flytrap #1. Hi there, Tom. Hi, Cece. How are y'all doing?
Hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
Great. So happy to have you here with us.
Yes, welcome. Would you mind, to kick us off, would you mind reading the dedication in your book?
Sure. Do you want to read it? Should I read it?
You read it. You
Okay,
read it.
I'll read it. It's a very short dedication. It just says, for Dave and Sayuri Pilkey.
All right.
Would you mind talking a little bit about who you dedicated the book to and why?
Right. Well, I'm sure everybody knows who Dave Pilkey is. And we've also had the pleasure of meeting his lovely wife, Sayuri. And they are the nicest people in the world. And of course, Dave is one of the most talented people in the world. We met Dave because of being fans of Captain Underpants. This was pre-Dogman that we actually met them. And I actually made an origami Captain Underpants and wanted to give it to him. And Cece will tell you that I don't like to stand in line. I hate standing in line. I stood in a very long line to give that origami Captain Underpants to Dave Pilkey, and he was very appreciative of it, and we've been friends ever since.
I think it's safe to say that Dave has influenced so much of what we do. So much of anybody who is in comics and writing for kids has to be influenced by Dave Pilkey. So there are one-page comics in Inspector Flytrap that I drew. Tom wrote the story, and then I was working on the illustrations and realized that these little one-page illustrations, or one-page comics rather, would be perfect for the book. And they were sort of written just for Tom, just to make him laugh. I just shoved them in there, and the editor liked them so much that she said, well, we want more of these. So I had to come up with a new one for each segment, I guess.
Well, with the other books that the two of you have created together, did you share the dedications as well? I mean, there was one dedication in Inspector Flytrap from the two of you. Has that been the case in the other books you've collaborated on?
It has all the books we have done a joint dedication. The next Inspector Flytrap book here, you'll see that it says, to illustration genius Kyle T. Webster, thanks for creating all those awesome brushes. And now I don't know if you guys know who Kyle T. Webster is, but every artist, I think, knows who he is now. He makes these brushes for Photoshop. Cece can tell you a little more about him, actually, because she's the Photoshop master around here.
Not really, but Kyle T. Webster is an amazing illustrator on his own, and he can do anything, any style, anything. And he's created all these brushes that when you use them with like a what do you call it? Touch screen,
Right.
Whatever those things are. I'm not a computer genius, but when you use them with your little Apple Pencil, they feel like you're using the actual medium, like watercolor brushes and gouache and pencil and pen and anything. And it's astonishing. And so I actually used just a couple of the brushes from the set, but they made all the difference in the feel of the book. And he has this one particular brush that makes me draw better just because I like the way it feels. So the whole time I'm drawing, I'm just thinking, boy, I'm so glad I have these things, these brushes. I'm so glad. And then that's how we ended up dedicating it to him.
At what point in creating your Inspector Flytrap books at what point did you know that you would dedicate them to the people they are dedicated to? Like, was there a moment in that one book where you thought, Dave, this goes out to Dave, or did you have him in mind the whole time?
I think it has a lot to do with just the events surrounding the time when the editor writes to you and says, who's it going to be dedicated to? So the book might have even been finished, and then we get that question, and right at that, it was probably shortly after we had had one of our encounters with Dave, or shortly after a Kyle Webster brush had really come in handy.
Yeah.
Or the third book in the series dedicated to Tony and Ange. We'd probably gotten back from visiting them, and Ange cooked us supper, and we were like, man, that was a good supper. We should dedicate the book to her. We do have one other book we did together that has a dedication, and that's Cranky Doodle.
Yeah.
And Cranky Doodle was another slam dunk. We knew exactly who to dedicate it to. Since it was our first book together,
Right.
we dedicated it to
Karen Wiseman, who is our agent.
our
And she
amazing
is just
agent.
An amazing agent.
She's changed both of our lives for the better so much, and she's just incredible. So it was a very obvious choice to dedicate to her.
Yeah, she's such a good agent, a very kind of like, I see her as a protective older sister. She's very, very protective of us, and willing to go to bat for us and have those conversations that both of us hate, the confrontational. She's able to do that quite nicely. So that was an easy one.
Right? There's
Yeah.
three in each book, so 9 altogether. Yeah.
Right. So,
And they're really funny.
yeah, they're my favorite part of the book, probably.
You mean the part that I didn't write at all is your favorite?
Yeah, probably.
That's great.